When I was growing up, I never had the desire to live with a man because of all the things that I saw women going through when I was growing up, from family members to their friends to, being in middle school, high school, junior high school, and going to other people's houses and seeing how the men were in those houses. I would have to specify and say specifically African American men because I wasn't really around a lot of like non-Black men, but specifically African American. And I saw so much and learned so much. And I said, heck no. It was never in me to be like, yeah, let me go move with a man, because I knew that moving in with a man came with something. Moving in with a man means you don't have as much peace as you had before. They ruin the vibes. They are vibe killers. Like even some of the nicest ones, even some of the average ones that really aren't that bad, still be killing the vibe. And I remember when I was in like middle school and junior high, when we were old enough to start going over to people's houses, you could tell the difference between the houses that had men in them, right, where a man was living there, or maybe there was men coming out of there frequently, even if they weren't technically living there. You could tell the difference between those homes and the homes that had absolutely no men in them. None. It was a stark difference. And I preferred the houses where there was no men. Yeah, where there's no men over there. Because every house that I would go to where there was a man, they always did something to ruin the vibe. So I remember I went to my friend's house. This was like in high school. And it was me, his mom, him, and his sister. And we were all in the kitchen just having a good old time playing games and talking and carrying on. His dad walks in. Everybody in the house gets quiet. You could hear a pin drop on the floor. And I'm kind of like, okay, what just happened? Why is everybody getting all quiet? He doesn't acknowledge anybody. He doesn't speak to anybody. Nobody. He just walks in and he goes upstairs. He comes back downstairs and he starts inspecting the house, like just looking at everything, just looking for something to nitpick at, looking at something to complain about. He doesn't see anything to complain about. He starts walking back up the stairs. On the third step, he turns around and he says, hey, bring me a lemonade to my room. As though he didn't just walk past the refrigerator himself. As though he did not just walk past the refrigerator. Why couldn't you just come back downstairs and get your own lemonade? Oh, that made me so mad. It made me so mad. And then he had his daughter, who was nowhere near the refrigerator, get up and bring him a lemonade to his room. He wasn't even in his room yet. I was like, no. And that situation alone let me know I was not going to make a good wife to the average man, because I would have been like, who the hell are you talking to? Get your own damn lemonade. Like, a lot of these men were the dark rain clouds just hovering over their houses. And whenever they came into the house, they brought the heaviness of the world with them. And as I was growing up, I also saw like how men moving into the house would affect the dynamic between mother and daughter, or children and mother, and how their relationships would be very strained. And how when those men would move into the house, they just created chaos and problems because they were always trying to assert their authority or have control over how things in the house were going, even though it's like, this is not your house. You're moving into a house that's not yours. You're disrupting the environment of all the people who lived there before you. And you're making it uncomfortable for everybody, but they didn't care. They actually strived to make it uncomfortable for everybody else, so they knew, like, this is my house now. I remember I had this friend in high school where we would constantly go over each other's houses on Wednesdays to watch our shows, and they had cable or they had something that we didn't have, so we would always have to go to her house. And we would go to her house and we would make girl dinner and we would just have such a merry old time. Her house was such a safe place for us, and her mom was like, even though she was a very religious woman, she also made it a very fun environment. And we had like sleepovers and stuff, and we would always have to wake up and go to church on Sundays, and we would watch our shows, and we would just have a merry old time, right? And her mom was just so nice and just like, girls just want to have fun type thing. And it was cool until she got married. Now, when she got married, it was very random for me. Maybe not so much random for, my friend, but it was definitely random for me, because I was like, where the heck did this guy come from? Never seen him before, right? Whatever. This man moved in and literally would do things to spite us and just do unnecessary stuff to just get on our nerves. So when he first moved in, the first thing he did was change the Wi-Fi password. Even though we used the Wi-Fi so that we would be able to watch our shows. We asked him for the Wi-Fi password. He refused to give it to us for no reason. My friend wasn't in trouble or anything. He was just being a dick. After he ended up changing the Wi-Fi password, he ended up changing the service that they had. I guess the cable service or whatever streaming service they had, he changed it without talking to anybody, without saying anything. And so we couldn't watch our shows anymore. We could not watch our shows on Wednesday anymore. Mind you that her mother was the breadwinner. She made way more money than him. And so he came in changing a whole lot of things to make it more, I guess, better for his pockets, because maybe he couldn't afford it. And so we were kind of just like, why are you taking away our shows? Why you cut the Wi-Fi off on us? We didn't do anything. He would also constantly do things to get my friend in trouble. And it used to irk my nerves so bad because her mom would just allow it. And she would follow his lead, I guess, because she's supposed to let him be the head of the house. And it would result in her having a lot of arguments with her mother. After he moved in, her mom also was constantly trying to look for reasons to kick her out Like any little thing, she was trying to find a reason to kick her out. And it was only this way because that man moved in. It literally got so bad where we were like, we're going to have to find another place to hang out because this is not the hangout spot anymore. He was just really, really annoying. And then there would also be times where we would like go to her mom, like, I guess you say behind his back and try to talk to her. Like, and she's like, nope, it's my husband. He's the head of the house. And if he said no, it's a no. We were like, what the hell? And from that point forward, it was just really uncomfortable. Also knew a lot of other girls growing up who had stepdads that came in like later, like when they were older, like maybe middle school, high school age. Those seem to be the worst dynamics. Like if you're going to get remarried, please do not do it while they are in middle school or high school. And if you are, make sure he is a really decent man that gets along with your kids and doesn't disrupt their environment. Had this group of friends that had a stepdad and he was always so cool until he wasn't. Whenever he would get into a fight with their mom, he would take it out on those kids and he would start talking really horrible about those kids. And say, I don't even want to take care of your kids. And But when they weren't fighting, he like, come on, y'all know y'all my kids. He was always cool until he wasn't. Don't nobody want to deal with that yo-yo stuff. Is we cool or is we not? Clearly, we only cool when you cool with my mama. But when you're not cool with my mama, it's F us. Then I had another friend whose mom got remarried. And her stepdad was just like, ew. Like just taking up so much energy in the house. And he was just so disgusting. When her mom got married, her room used to be upstairs. He made her move her room to the basement. Mm. He made her move her room to an unfinished basement, not just a basement, an unfinished basement. She had to carve out a room with like covers. Like she had to take a cover to like make a square of her room. And she was like in the dark, dark basement while the stepson or his stepson moved into the house and had a room upstairs.
No.
When I was growing up, I would see how the men around the women in my family would treat them. And they would often treat them like servants or they would mistreat them or they were just like, so just why? Like, why? Of course, like most people, they have good days and good qualities that you'll like about them. But for the most part, they were more consistent with the bad. And you'll be like, why are we putting up with this again? Why are you with him again? Like, why? And then I also saw the women in my family who were like not married, who would like periodically cohabitate with their partners and the stuff they had to go through and the stuff they would put up with to cohabitate with a man. And I was like, this is no, absolutely not. And another thing that I would see is that once you get a man in your house, they do not leave easily. And they do not leave peacefully. It's always, always, always some type of big boom event when it comes time for y'all to separate. Like they never leave with peace. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. I never had the desire to live with a man. Like I just thought that was like the last thing on my list. Yes, eventually you will have to move in with a man when you get married and you have children and stuff. But like when I saw my friends moving in with their boyfriends and stuff, I was like, girl, shouldn't do that. You should have got your own apartment. You know, even when I would see my guy friends try to move in with their girlfriends, I'd be like, nope, don't do that. Get your own apartment. Like, you're going to regret it. You have your own place first so you can see how it feels before you get to try to move in with people. Because once you get used to moving in with people, you don't stop doing that. You get addicted to cohabitating. Like, and it's really not worth it. It's really not worth it. And I tell women all the time, do not move in with no man if you don't have to.
I watched every
When I was growing up,
Hey, cousins.
episode of the Meghan Markle Netflix show, so you don't have to. Now, a lot of
people... Happy Sunday. This is the price of cohabitation. I want to know what you think about that. I have so much to say, but I will say, I remember being 14 years old. I lived with my dad, and I think we were in Florida at this time, and we had these gorgeous white tiles. Okay. Now, most homes in Florida flat, right? So in my house, most of the houses, you would come in and it's like the entranceway, it's kind of elevated. And so it kind of go around like that. And then there's the dining room section over here. And then that goes to the bedrooms, the bathrooms, and then to go into the living room. In this house, we only had one living room, but in the other house, we had two living rooms. You would step down to go into the living room. And I don't remember if it had tiles, but I just remember the entrance had these beautiful marble tiles. And I love them. And I told my husband, when we get our forever home, that entranceway will be marble white tiles, okay? So I remember this one day was raining, it was storming, and I'm on my knees, 14 years old, cleaning those white marble tiles because I love them and I would keep them clean. This day, the devil got into my father when he got home, and he came in the main entrance. It's raining. My dad worked in construction, so it's the muddy, dirty boots, the muddy, dirty clothes, whatever else he did. And he walked in and he just walked on my beautiful white marble tiles. And right there on my knees, while I was on my knees, I thought to myself, I was 14, I don't want a man that does dirty jobs. Don't want him. Don't want him. Because this is what I would have to put up with. Okay. And usually my stepmom had my dad's stuff in the garage. Usually he would come through the garage. So you would come through the garage and go through the kitchen. And in the garage, my stepmom had my father's, his bed slippers, maybe some shorts and a t-shirt. So when he come home, you don't walk in the house with your mess and your construction and cement stuff. You take off your work clothes in the garage, take off your boots in the garage and change, put on your bed slippers, put on a t-shirt, put on, shorts, house clothes. And I don't remember if we had a sink in the garage, but from the garage was the kitchen. But this day, the devil got into him to walk in dirty, muddy, my beautiful, gorgeous. I never forgot that. And that's why I said, I don't want no man that does dirty jobs. The sad thing for this young lady is she has not seen any healthy example of marriage or a husband. She didn't say anything about her parents, right? I'm glad she said at the end, eventually she's going to have to live with a man because you want to get married and you want to have children. So I'm glad she said that. And all these reasons are reasons, ladies, why we must choose the best husband for us. The husband you choose will determine the rest of your life. So you need to think about all these things. How does he take care of his home? Is he clean? Is he kind? Is he generous? Is he expecting you to wash, cook, clean, and him just sit on the couch and watch TV? That man is not a good man to marry. Marry a man, choose a husband who knows how to wash, knows how to clean, knows how to cook. In other words, he knows how to take care of his home. If you marry a man who don't know how to take care of his home, that's going to be you. Do not shack up. Don't move in with a man. Don't shack up. You dumb women with your kids moving strange men in your home with your kids. Some of these men are pedophiles, molesting your children, grooming your children. Don't do it. Do not move them in your home. Do not do it. Don't shack up with a man. If my husband goes before me, I am not I'm not getting married again. I'm not getting married again, and ain't no man, I don't believe in shacking up. I'm not moving no man in my house. As a matter of fact, my little boy said my husband wasn't feeling well one day, or was it when he had his knee surgery? I don't remember. But my husband was really, really sick, and little Michael was really emotional about it. And he said, Mommy, if Daddy goes to heaven, please don't get married again. I said, oh, no, baby, you don't have to worry about that. No, I wouldn't. The reason why is because I understand headship and leadership. Men are the head of the home. That is how God designed it. So my husband built this beautiful home for us and this beautiful life. And let's say he moved to heaven and I need to move a man in here. No, I'm not going to do that. Because if Mike transitioned, little Michael is now the head of the home. and y'all moving men in to your home, it's really like animalistic in that you're moving a man in on your son's territory. So don't do it. Don't move no man in your home. If he can't marry you, provide for you and protect you, and y'all move to a new house that we're getting married and we're living in this home together, and he's not a man of honor and respect and an example, don't marry him. Do not expose your children to that foolishness, because God's determination is that the husband is the head of the home. We need husbands in our home. My husband was extremely busy last week, consulting last week. And, excuse me, it was nearby. So my husband would get home at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. One morning, he got home about 4 o'clock in the morning. And by day 3, it started to affect little Michael. He was affected by it. He was saying, I miss Daddy. And he said, Mommy, I miss Daddy. I'm only going to see Daddy in the mornings now. I'm not going to see him at nights. He's not going to pick me up from school. And he was really affected by it. Now, my husband usually works in the city, but ever since COVID, a lot of things has changed. My husband has been working from home, and now my husband is transitioning to consulting. So ever so often he'll go in the city, but he'll come home. Or when my husband travels, he don't travel as much as he used to, because he kind of cut down when little Michael started getting around 8. Little Michael was playing basketball, swimming. Little Michael was doing a lot. And he said he didn't want to miss out on that. He wanted to be here. So if my husband goes away for like 2 days, little Michael, no, Daddy's away for 2 days. Daddy's coming home. We're calling Daddy. We're watching Daddy on video and stuff like that. But this time it really affected him. And then my husband has been working from home since COVID. So my husband picks him up from school most days. He picks me up most days. Summer program, he picks them up. He takes them to tennis most days. So it really affected little Michael, because he's used to Daddy being home, Daddy picking him up, Daddy being in the house. We're reading, we're doing homework, so on and so forth. It really affected him. So we know we need husbands and fathers in our home. Good man, a good man, a good man, a good man who can be an example for us and our children. This poor young woman, beautiful girl, all that luscious hair, has not seen a good example of a husband in the home. And my husband is a good example of a good man. Good husband, good man, good father. My husband will do anything I ask him to do, except fold. He hates to fold. He will. He roll up the blanket as sheets in the morning. He just roll it up like that. He loves it. So don't cohabitate. Don't move no man in on your children. And especially if you have a boy child, because you're moving that man in on his territory. Don't move no strange man in your home and you have kids where he can groom your children and hurt your children and molest your children. Don't do it. Don't shack up. All right, cousins, I love you. I love you. Tell me what you think about what this young lady said. Come on back from Married at First Sight. I know I said yesterday, girl, but I was tired, okay? I went to sleep yesterday. I was so exhausted. Around 11, I was like, I can't do it. And then my husband was exhausted. He laid on that couch all day yesterday, and he slept all day. We were all tired. But I absolutely love you. I adore. Thank you for your love and support. I want to remind you the husband profile is coming up in September. If you want to take this course, the link is below. Please go ahead and register, sign up. I have all types of different payment plans over there. So please sign up and then send me an email so I can book our one-on-ones. Thank for those of you picking up my books, 23 Types of Guys You Might Meet. Don't move a man in your house. I've talked about this on this video. Please do not move men in. Do not shack up. Do not live in sin. Beloved, if the Lord Jesus Christ should come back and crack the sky, you're going to bust up in hell because you're living in sin. Don't do it. If he loves you enough and he can provide for you, protect you, buy you a house, But don't shack up. Don't move him. You're struggling to take care of you and your kids, and you go move some man in on your kids in a hole. No, don't do that. I love you. Come on back for Married at First Sight. Love you guys. Bye.